pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. For the roll call.
Here.
Jim Clarita.
Clarita, here.
Brian Gametz. Luther Williams.
Here.
Debbie Cook.
Here. Okay, we have minutes from April 17th and May 15th. Do I have a motion to approve?
I move to approve the minutes.
Second. Any discussion? Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Any staff, any correspondence? That brings us to old business. Every one of these is old business, correct, Christy? Correct. Okay, so just want to make sure I'm looking there right. Our first case is SE 2024-38. The applicant is Steven Siscom. His Cosmos Midnight Stables. Location is north 500 east, southeast corner of 1500 500 East Michigan City. The zoning is A1 general agriculture, and the request is to allow a horse stable with associated uses. Hi.
Hi,
Need your name and address before you start talking.
my name is, I'm sorry.
And just tell us what we need to hear.
Hi, my name is Steve Sism. I live at 4354 West, 750 North in Michigan City.
I'm Callie Sism. I also live at 4354 West 750 North in Michigan City. So we are here requesting a special exception to have living area built within the horse barn.
Can you hold on just a minute?
Mhm.
We're here going to let staff give a brief summary ahead of time of what has gotten us to tonight's meeting, and then we'll let you go ahead with your presentation.
Good evening, board members. Hope you read the report. We did a pretty detailed explanation of what's transpired since the last meeting. The last meeting, this was continued, if you remember, because there was a question whether or not it was a large or small stable. We came to the conclusion that small commercial stable, which according to the zoning requirements is a permitted use, therefore a special exception is not required. However, they do have, as she said, housing built into the stable. I'll let them explain why that's so important in their operation. But also, that is a special exception as long as it's subordinate to the operation. So the operation is a horse stable, and the residential is subordinate to it. So it is, if you look in your packet, I took that page of the UDO, circled the two areas of importance for you to consider. So in their presentation tonight, and we met with petitioner a couple weeks after your last meeting. We worked out the details of that. So staff is satisfied they met those requirements, and it'll be up to you to make judgment. Okay, so if you got any questions, please ask any of us staff.
If anybody have questions now, or you want to wait till after petitioner?
Very good.
Thanks.
Good luck.
Okay.
As far as why we need the living within the barn, if something were to happen with one of the horses in the night, we'd be able to hear it. And most of these horses are quite expensive. I think $20,000 or more per horse, with 12 within the barn. So safety-wise, someone living on property, we're able to get there faster. We're able to give 24/7 care. And then economically, financially, this is what we can afford, is to have that within the same building versus building another $100,000 house separate on the property. And that's really all I have until I can answer your questions.
Okay. We had the public hearing at the last meeting, so we're to board comments. Luther? Jim? Mark?
I have some questions I'd like to ask I don't know how much experience you had with horses.
20 years.
A lot?
Yes.
So young. But,
Mhm.
do you have a large animal doctor that you can call? You know
Yes.
somebody?
Multiple.
Okay, because there aren't too many anymore in Fort County.
So we have Brian Biggers. He's out of
How about a farrier?
Brad Langhoffer.
Do you have somebody?
Oh yeah.
Okay. That's good to
Mhm.
hear. I'm concerned about this large wooden barn.
Mhm.
You have 2 apartments that you're going to put in this barn, right?
So yes, it'd be under one roof.
They're around 1,700 square feet.
No.
The 1,000 square feet doesn't come in effect in A1. Okay.
Is it 17?
The one living area is just over maybe 800 square feet. On the one side of the barn, the lower level of that is a lounge that'll be public
Okay.
access.
Oh.
The other side,
That's all. That's what I wanted to know.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
uh-huh.
According to the horse people that I've been talking to, your biggest problem is going to be manure. And one thing you highly recommend was using shavings and not straw.
Yes, we do not use
Maybe
straw.
A lot more
Mhm.
easier to get rid of.
Mhm.
But your proposal is not to have anything covered. It's going to be out on the concrete slab. Is that correct?
It will be a covered area with like concrete walls.
You're going to put a plastic, some kind of covering over the pile.
There'll be a roof.
A roof.
Container.
There'll be a roof over the concrete walls, dividing 3 separate compost bays.
Okay.
If that makes sense. I don't have a picture of it to show
How many
you.
horses?
Maximum of 20 for the small.
Maximum.
Of 20 for the small commercial.
How many are you planning to have? You have
19.
sec-
Sorry?
I didn't hear them.
19.
Okay. 19 horses.
Mhm.
Do you have any? I know you know.
Yes.
Yes, we do.
The manure
I've been in
19 horses.
Yeah, we own horses presently.
I've been in working in commercial facilities for 10 years.
Are you going to have a horse wash facility?
Yes, we have I don't know, Christy, do you have the blueprint that we sent you?
Yes.
The gray water from a horse wash.
So that's they have 2 wash racks in.
It's not going to drain onto your neighbors.
No.
No.
Yeah, they'll be into
Mike.
septic.
Well, not that
And septic,
septic.
the
We're hoping.
French drain.
I actually had spoke to the health department about that to get clarification on what. I don't want it to drain into my septic, of course, because that's just a lot of gray water. But I'm planning on putting in some type of French drain because I don't want it draining out onto the ground either. Because we're sitting basically in the center of our 50 acres, so it's not going to drain onto anybody else's property, but it could cause me a lot of grief if it's having to drain directly onto the ground.
Now the wetland or the marshy area on your property, that's not a wetland, is it? It's not been declared a wetland.
It is declared a wetland, yes. But again, we're not anywhere near
You have to
that.
be careful about drainage into that.
Yeah, no, nothing drains. I mean, except for rainwater, of course. Yeah, I don't have the layout in front of me.
We're
right
at least
now.
200 feet away from that wetland.
Yeah, 200-300 feet from the wetland,
Uh,
with hayfield between to absorb.
Parking facilities for horse trailers. Have you got that
Yes,
in your design for parking? Because
yes, behind
they have people picking up and dropping off horses.
Mhm.
And so you need a parking area designated.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes, that's.
I didn't see that on your sketch. But
It was. Well, it was.
I know you got plenty of room
Mm-hmm.
for it.
I mean, for picking up and dropping off, they'll just pull up. They won't even unhook. I mean, if they're coming in for a lesson, which most of the lessons will be from people who are boarding horses at the facility.
Or using our lesson horses
Or-
that we have to provide.
Are you going to live there?
Yes. It will only be family.
Yeah, we're all living there.
And I'm I'm really concerned about a large wooden barn with hay storage and shaving
So hay is separate.
fire.
Hay and everything is separate from the barn, from the facility. We have a separate hay barn already built on property.
Say hay will be stored in a different.
Yes.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
Yeah. No, and there we have no. It's all going to be electric. There'll be no open flame. No smoking allowed on property. There's no open flame in the facility at all. Not even gas.
If you see on the,
Oh.
it's kind of grainy. The lower right hand side of that image, there is like hay storage, but that's just for like bring in for that day's use. Not a large quantity of hay. We have a very large 56 by 56 hay
You
barn.
said you were going to use shavings, right? Not straw.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay, that's really good because
Yeah, that's all we've ever used. Yeah.
you know hay not being stored there is a good idea because I'm worried about any kind of hay storage.
No.
Spontaneous combustion.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Horse barn is,
Seen it too many times.
and the stall size you have is 10 by
12 by 12.
12 by 12.
that's pretty small.
It's standard size.
Standard, yeah.
It-
I thought it'd be a little bit bigger than that. That's all I have right now.
Brian's not here. All right, all my questions have been pretty much covered already by other members, so. At the end, have you thought of any since you remember who was there?
No, pretty much everything I've had was answered.
Absent any more questions, or is there a motion?
I think we should consider having a restriction on because we have a fairly unique circumstance here. I think we should have a condition that
No rentals.
no rentals.
That's what I was thinking.
In other words, one of the living spaces wouldn't be available for outside renting beyond your family.
Yeah, nope, that's not a problem.
Anything else we should consider in a motion?
Don't believe so.
Okay. Anyone for a motion?
I move to approve case SE 2024-38. Period of 4 years.
It's a special exception.
Oh, okay, then it's unlimited.
But
Done is done.
Okay. And with all of the conditions that we talked about, there's also screening. You know about screening conditions. You have to screen off your property from your neighbors with either arborvitaes or some kind of plantings. Are you aware that there's some screening?
Is that for a large commercial barn, or? I mean, not that we're not planning on doing. We're planning on planting trees and doing things like that, but it was my understanding, and I could be wrong, that fell under the large
Thing would be a
commercial barn.
good idea.
Oh, well, my plan is to set things up as if it were a large commercial barn. That way, if things go well and we do want to expand, we're already ahead of that game when we come back to you guys. And I ain't saying that's going to happen, but I do want to set it up. That's why we're setting up the manure management and everything, the parking. I want it to run like a large barn, but I don't want to start.
Can we get a motion in a second and then discussion if you want?
Sure.
Okay.
No. So, if
No,
you would like to finish.
end of the motion.
Well, you didn't finish it, I don't think, because you didn't put anything about the condition of no rentals.
A condition.
You didn't include no rentals in your motion.
Oh yeah, so apartment no rent.
Yep.
I forgot about that one.
So that's the
Nope.
motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Now, any discussion?
Is that that?
Yes.
Okay.
Motion for case SE-2024-38. Luther Williams, yes. Jim Coretta, yes. Marvin Brickner, yes. Debbie Cook, yes. Motion carries 4-0. So you're approved.
Thank you very much.
We have an official manure pile observer on this board. You know that.
Yeah, you'll be invited out anytime you want to come.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Okay, our next case is APL 2024-4. The applicant is David and Jennifer Leeds. Ms. Caravan is Warden, is Warden Long. Location is 1800 in Boundary Road, Chesterton. The zoning is R1, low density, single family residential. Is appealing the decision of the Board of Zoning Appeals Hearing Officer to allow for a proposed 42 by 48 pole barn to vary from the following. To allow an increase in height from the maximum allowed of 20 feet, 24 feet 3 inches. And the proposed height is reduced from 22 to 22. To exceed the maximum floor area allowed by 490 square feet, and to allow the pole barn to be placed in the front yard. Any staff comments before we start? Okay.
Right.
Name and address first, and then
Yes, good evening, Attorney Adam Sworden, Sworden Law, PC 337 West 806 North, Valparaiso, Indiana 46385, here on behalf of the petitioner David and Jennifer Leeds, and then they're here with me, so I'll have them set their names for the record.
David Leeds, 1800 Indian Boundary Road, Chesterton.
Jennifer Leeds, 1800 Indian Boundary, Chesterton.
thank you.
Thank you. I know at the last public hearing, which we had closed, the leisure of the board was to give an opportunity for some of you to go back out to the site, take a look at that, and then come back here tonight. So we don't have anything further to present unless there's any further questions or comments related to any observations that y'all made by going back out to the property.
Okay. Public hearing was at the last meeting, so we'll go to questions and comments from the board.
I don't know. I don't see that you could even see the proposed building from the road. That would be one comment. And I guess that's all I've got right now.
Okay. Jim?
Just a couple things. So, just as a reminder, if you weren't here, so the additional 2 feet, which has been reduced, I do remember that was so you could put a car lift in, if I remember right, so you could kind of double stack some vehicles.
Yes.
The additional 490 square feet. So what is that? What's the size of the building you're wanting to build?
So we currently have a 12 by 18 garden shed on the property. So that takes away from the square footage that we would, for the building. So, I mean, we would be allowed 1,740 square foot if we got rid of the garden shed. And we're looking for 2,000 square feet because if you make it a little bit wider, then you can put 2 deep in there.
What size building what are you wanting to build?
42 by 48 versus a 48 by 36. So basically adding 6 feet to one side.
Yeah, and we had talked a lot last time about why that additional square footage, or really it's the depth of the building, is so important for that ability for them to do that double stacking of their collection.
The other thing is, I know there was a lot of discussion last time about it being in the front yard, which rightfully so. I think when you say it out loud, it sounds kind of silly to put a pole barn in your front yard. But I was out there this morning. That was me driving in your driveway this morning.
I'm glad you went and saw it.
And honestly, when I was out there and I'm looking around, if I was there, if I lived there, that's exactly where I would want to put it. So I guess, and it does look like some additional neighbors have come out and changed their. So what I was seeing in some report where some of them came out and signed a petition that they were fine with this.
What? Its neighbors are here now.
Okay.
They're against it.
We also got a petition for it with a bunch of neighbors that signed it also.
They have that also.
Yeah.
That's what he was asking.
Yeah. So
They have that also. They have people that are for it and then people that are against it. And they had how many names did you have signed? Like 9 drain.
Yeah. And we also had some people that originally signed their petition remove themselves.
One of them was
That's what I was.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
yeah,
change the position after thinking about it or walking down and taking a look yourself.
that's correct. Yep.
And, I guess my other question said I'm not opposed to it so long as it doesn't interfere with the runoff and drainage, as long as that's good. I know in a perfect world you could clear up the tree in the back and put it back in the house, but again, like I said, I drove on the property today, and honestly, if I lived there, that's probably where I would want to put it. But I might get told no by the same board too.
Yeah.
So.
And that was one of the things when we had the first hearing before the regular process in front of the BZA is they wanted stormwater engineer to go out and look at that to confirm that that made sense there. And that was his conclusion too, because of the high point, the improvements that they've done in that area. And obviously they're trying to avoid creating more issues of flooding, not only for them, but also for the neighbors. So
I guess for now, I'll defer to the rest of the board. I'm not against that, again, so long as it's not going to create drainage issues, or unless there's just missing. So.
I'm very much opposed to this pole barn in the front yard. There's no hardship. This is a very large pole barn, 2,400 square feet.
2,000.
2,000.
Or
2,000 square feet.
2,000 square feet.
Mhm.
And it's bigger than is allowed. It's taller than allowed. And it's in the front yard. So pole barns of this nature, this board has had a lot of experience with pole barns in the front yard. And believe me, none of them have turned out. And, maybe I should take everybody on a trip and show them exactly what happens when you allow pole barns to be built in the front yard, or horse barns, or any other kind of structure. So I'm opposed to this, very much opposed to this. This is a violation of our ordinances, and there's no hardship here.
Brian.
I apologize for being late. I actually was late because I went out to check out your property.
Good.
And then a train going about miles per hour. Valpo, you know that train.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. My opinion is that a pole barn would not be visible 9 months of the year, 10 months of the year. It was very, very forested. I agree with Jim that obviously, logistically, if that was my property, where I would want to build it. If we were to approve this, I think that we need some give and take. Size being one of them. So I guess the only thing I'm not in disagreement with is the front yard, because I still feel that front yard is a relative term in certain situations. Okay, there's absolutely no way that it would be visible from the road. That's, in my opinion, why we don't allow in the front yard. Okay, so if you're driving down a country road and there's a barn, and next to it's a tractor, and next to it's some old barrels, and next to that is firewood, next to that is this, and next to that is that. That's the whole point of not allowing a secondary structure in front of the house. As far as the neighbors, I think the number one concern for all of us was to not upset neighbors. We don't want to, because they're our constituents too. I don't know how you could even see the barn. Yes, you'll see 2 months of the year. So my opinion is, I don't like the size, I don't like the height, I don't mind the location. That's my opinion.
So as far as the size go, if we take away our little garden shed that we have in the back, we're literally only asking for 200 square feet extra. Because the garden shed we have in the back takes up 200 and some square feet. That's why we're asking for the 490. So literally we're asking for 220 square feet extra if we took away the garden shed, which is in a whole different area of the property. You know what I mean? And as far as the height goes, could I get away with 12 feet? Maybe, but I would never be able to, you know, I'd have problems putting a car up on a lift if I do that. You know, a pickup truck. If I want to change the oil in my truck, I wouldn't be able to do it. Wouldn't fit in there. You know, and it's, once again, it's 2 feet. So I understand your concerns, but that's my reasoning for that.
Any more comments or a motion?
I make a motion to deny case. Excuse me. APL 2024-4. Is that the right one?
Do we have a second? Okay, motion dies for lack of a second. Do we have another motion? Advice?
We need more discussion on height and size, obviously.
Why can? So I have a pole barn, and what are you asking for? I know I can look, but just tell me. What?
22 feet.
22.
He's allowed 20. He's asking for 22.
I'm asking for an additional 2 feet so I can have a 14-foot sidewall instead of a 12-foot sidewall.
I mean, my pole barn, I could easily get underneath a car or truck all day long.
The cars aren't the problem; it's the pickup truck.
To me,
that goes.
What do you need to work on the pickup truck for?
No, I change my own oil. You know,
he's talking about having it on a lift.
A lift.
But
if you came out to my barn, you could lift the truck up in my barn and change the oil. And how many people change their oil without lifts? Lots. Okay, so you haven't sold me on that.
And the size?
I'm still not sold on that either.
Do you have something you want to propose, the size that would be acceptable?
I say he sticks with the ordinance on size and height.
Further comments or questions?
Jim, do you have any opinion?
Is that a motion, Brian?
I did not make an motion.
Yeah, I have a pole barn too with 12-foot high ceiling.
Right.
Yeah. You may not be able to double stack cars, but you can definitely lift it up high enough to work underneath of the 12-foot ceiling. Because that's what mine has. I do it on the jack. Right?
Yeah. I think.
Let me ask you this: if I was to say, okay, we'll do the 12-foot, 20 feet, would you be okay with us at least having the additional size for the depth?
We're given.
How about the 1,740 square feet that I would be allowed without the garden shed? But I get to keep the garden shed to keep my tractor in. It's in the backyard, out of the way. Would you be okay with that?
The rules with the secondary.
What was the request? What you just said, Sadie.
So if we backed it down to the 2% of our property area, which would be 1,740 square feet, we would still like the additional couple hundred square feet so we could keep our garden shed in the back. Because it's
how long's that garden shed been there?
So
long time.
How long?
I don't know. We just bought the house. I don't know how long it's been there.
According to our neighbor, it's been there probably the 80s.
So is that grandfathered in?
Still part of his lot, still part of his maximum accessory structure. So I think what you're asking is, I'll make the numbers a little easier. Okay, you need 500 new additional square foot for an accessory structure if you build the barn the way you have it designed.
Right. So I'm asking cut that in half.
Part of that 500 is created because of this garden shed.
Correct.
It's eating up some of your available square feet, which is added to this request.
Correct.
This base request, assuming the garden shed didn't exist, would be more along the lines of about 250 extra square feet.
That is correct.
The garden shed's only 168 square feet. It's allowed 742 square feet.
He's allowed 1742 total. You said?
Yeah, with everything. That's where,
The garden shed's 216.
as it, well, assessor has it as 168.
Yeah.
So
It's
what number are we going with?
12 by 18, so it's 216.
So what number are we going with?
Well, I guess it's how, if you use the assessor data, they're probably measuring from the inside, the actual coverage. So
I'd be okay with them keeping the garden shed and not even counting that, but sticking with not varying from.
So in other words, we could calculate his maximum accessory structure square footage, assuming the garden shed doesn't exist. Whatever that maximum is, the barn could be.
Yeah.
So does the barn be a maximum of 1742? Right?
mm-hmm.
And you tell the board why you won't put it in the backyard.
It's not the right place to put it on that piece of property.
You got room in the backyard to put
There's water problem.
Wait, hang on. I'm gonna handle this. So, stormwater engineer went out there and looked at this property and confirmed that the front yard was the better spot because it's the high point on the property for drainage. When you go in the backyard, there's low spots back there in the woods. They get wet. So for him to put a building back there of any size in the backyard and to deal with the separation and setback, he has to clear cut those woods and he has to raise that ground up. And now you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 homeowners off of Dogwood Drive and is that Robinson? Redbud. I'm sorry, Redbud, that are now going to have direct visibility of that building in the backyard, and it's going to change the course of the way the water flows that they've now mitigated out of their own basement around to where it naturally goes up the Indian boundary. And a lot of the signatures they got on the petition in support of this are those folks over on Redbud. They do not want this in the backyard because that's going to impact their rear yards. That's why this makes sense there, to answer your question. And that was kind of gone through at RDC and the first public hearing.
I make a motion to allow Mr. Leeds. Is it Leeds?
Correct.
What's the wording for percentage? He can have 2%. Allowed to have 2% of his total yardage.
Yep.
Which is equated to 1,742 square feet.
You can just say the barn can be as big as that.
Yep.
Not to
Okay, so the barn can be 1,742 square feet, as well as 12 feet tall.
22 feet at the peak.
Sorry,
That's
the
why-
wall.
Yeah.
That's where we measure.
Sorry, I'm not good. I'm a doctor. Not 22 feet tall, and be allowed to be in the anterior front of the property.
The facade of the whole barn will closely match that of your house.
With the facade being
It's code.
That's
That's code, yeah.
okay.
All right, we have a motion. Is there a second?
second.
Any discussion?
You can say it.
Yeah. Yeah, second.
Time's up.
That's a lot.
So you guys need some Jeopardy music while you're doing
It's a board
Voting for case APL-2024-4. Brian Damons, yes. Luther Williams, yes. Jim Coretta, yes. Marvin Brickner, yes. Debbie Cook, yes. Motion carries 5 to 0.
No,
Back to one.
What? Oh, Marvin. I'm sorry. Marvin said no. So 4 to 1. My
Thank
bad. 4 to 1. And motion carries. Either way.
And thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Please submit new plans with.
Okay, we'll get them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll talk about that.
Okay, our next case is UV 2024-6, James Andershock, Trust 6132. The location is 1569 Indian Boundary Road. The zoning is R1, low density, single family residential district, and the request is continue the use variance allowing a farm market produce stand.
Good evening, Attorney Adam Swarden, again, 337 West 806 North, Valparaiso, Indiana, 46385, here on behalf of Petitioner Jim Vandershock, who is here with me, and I'll let him state his name for the record.
It's James Andershock.
State your address.
1569 Indian Boundary Road, Chesterton, Indiana.
what's your name again?
James Andershock.
So this, I don't know if you have a staff report to go along this one. I know this one has been continued, and this is a existing use variance that has been approved but is up for further review. And there's been a lot of history here. So I guess with that, Scott, were you nodding your head? There is a staff report on it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What? They got a staff.
Did staff want to say anything before we?
Christie's gone, so.
Okay. We'll let him go ahead if you don't mind.
Sure.
Go ahead and continue.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Mr. Depot.
Since your last meeting, you continued, so they worked with staff to make some changes. A lot were a request of this board granting him his use variance back in 22, I believe it was. Many of which, when he appeared before you in the spring, were not accomplished. We were working with attorney. Now I see he's represented by a different counsel. We tried working with his previous attorney to get him hooked up with some engineering. The important thing was a development plan as far as what he was doing on site. Staff, myself, and a few others have made visits, as I'm sure some of you did. We can honestly say the property's cleaner, very much cleaner. He got rid of some things, stacked them up. I think there was a screen wall that was put up recently. Is that new?
Yes.
Correct.
But we still haven't got to the development plan things, which is something we can continue to work with him if that's what you desire us to do. So progress has been made as far as staff is concerned, and what we've seen as far as clean up the site. I think I remember two of the board members saying, be a good neighbor. I think a reasonable attempt to do so. I think there's a little bit more work to do, but we can continue to.
Thank you.
And the only thing that I would add to that, I know one of the other big concerns was the truck access on the east side that has since been closed, so there's no more trucks coming in at that entrance. And one of the reasons that he retained my assistance was for getting to this development plan. So basically all the things that he's being asked to do that he has done and the other things that he is still working on are going to become part of a formal application development site plan with a local engineering firm, which is being requested for proposals right now. I do know that I think it was the last spring when there was the hearing on this, there was an exhibit 1 that kind of looked like a development plan. It at least had dimensions and things that kind of played into the concerns that were being brought in that staff wanted addressed. So basically we need to take that now to the next step, and that's why he's got me involved, because it just hasn't been getting done with the assistance that he had previously. And then what we'll do is we'll meet with staff and go through anything else that he's already looking at implementing. If there's any other concerns that we can work into that development plan from either the logistics or timing of things that happen on the site, we're going to agree to do those.
Okay. In this case, also public hearing was the last reading.
Correct.
The board has questions and comments. Brian?
What exactly is a development plan going to be asking of him?
How he's gone in and put some roads in like that, and we're also looking at things such as the stormwater drainage that creates, somewhat
Parking.
parking, layout, widths, things like that, all the technical.
Yeah, I have no problem moving forward, given time.
So what time are we looking?
I'd like to hear everyone's comments first.
Who has to be then?
Yeah, I'll get to that. I'll
Mark?
address all the comments.
My turn.
Yep.
You know, there have been some really nice improvements. The planting along the east side of your property between you and that's very nice. I wish you could cut the weeds down so you could see
Well,
the leaf growing. That would be a lot nicer.
That'll be done this week.
But one thing you absolutely have to do is exiting your property on the new driveway, the one furthest west. You can't see. The weeds are grown up to a point, and the trees, and the traffic on Indian Boundary Road is really fast. And leaving your property is really, to me, a hazard. So cut the weeds down all around. I think it'd make it look a heck of a lot better.
Mark, what do you think about a right turn only sign? A right turn only sign, so that people aren't crossing.
Well, I thought we did mention it one time, didn't we? You can't turn left coming out of here. Well, I don't know how many people go that direction. Most people go to
Back to
Met. But a right turn only, would that be
that'd be something we can just get a sign made.
that's a good idea, I think, if it
Is that
worked.
something we can stipulate?
If that wouldn't,
A right turn only? Is
at
something
least to make it a lot easier to see that direction.
Right.
Indian boundary.
Okay.
Do you
We
agree
can't-
with
we can't
me?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I know you guys can't do that.
I mean, I think where we really are at is that we're at the point where we need a development.
Right.
And once we have a development plan, the board will have enough information to then actually share it with the public, take public comment about what's there and what's not. We don't have that. We have a bunch of people here tonight that want to talk. We don't have anything to talk about. I know you're new on the case, so this isn't directed at you.
No.
But it is directed at him to some extent. Okay? Because what I'm going to hear in the hallway before I leave is, of course, we got a new attorney right before this hearing, and we got another continuance. In fairness to the people sitting in the crowd, the last time we were here, we thought 60 to 90 days, bring us to today, we'd have a development plan. I know things have happened. But before we add anything extra, part of the problem with this case is we never get it all put together in one place. So before we talk about write-in, write-outs, or any new conditions, if you go through this staff report, you look at all of the conditions that are, it's a paragraph this big on a piece of paper typed single spaced. We need to get back to where the grinding, where's the road, where's the entrance, where's the stormwater going, where's the outside storage, all those things that when you get your RFP back, you'll be able to create. I'm hesitant for this board to take any public comment tonight based on what? If we have a code violation out there right now, call code enforcement. Okay? This is not a permanent approval. He's not sitting with an approval. He's sitting in the grace of a continuance. Okay? So before we add anything new to anything we're doing, let's catch up to what we've asked this property to produce and then see where we're at. If we've gotten compliance, which we've heard from several people, we've made great strides here. No one has said it's all done or that everyone's happy. But before we add any more conditions, let's figure out what's done, where everything is, get some public comment, and then see if there is any additional need for conditions or at some point whether this continues on as an ongoing concern. That's why I think tonight we're left with, if we're going to have a continuance, which it feels like that's probably the most natural thing for this evening, we need to go back to the petitioner and his counsel and say, how long do you need? This is what we need so that we can move forward. And clearly we continued it without an approval last time. We did not take the extraordinary step, if you go read the minutes, because we were worried about this exact situation. He almost had a motion to approve, contingent on going to DRC and complying with everything at DRC. We were concerned, as he sat there without an engineer, to be what that was going to mean. So instead of having it just a blanket approval, follow what happens at DRC, it was let's go get the development plan, maybe send you to DRC, so you get the comments for the roads and everything else, bring it back here. Now we have something for the public and for this board to be able to sink their teeth into and and try to make a good decision. So really, we just need to know when can we get to there with what has already been conditioned on this property.
Sure.
Because the sooner you need enough time to get there in a meaningful way so that it's a good product. But in reality, we're running on a continuance to continue on the continued operation. So those are the two things on the teeter tot.
Right. So the aspect of this, while everything kind of happens in the smaller box there, you have components of this that spill over into the larger parcel. So to do a development plan, a surveyor or an engineer has to go out and survey the whole thing. It's not just that little area. So you're at an 8 to 12 week time frame to get all that information back into them. And then they're going to come back to us, and that Scott's right, that paragraph of all the things, even though some of them have technically been done already, we have to then show the ones that relate to the physical characteristics of the site. So the parking, the driveway, the drainage, all those things, those all have to get incorporated in the plan. As far as the logistical things, programming, and where certain things are placed, that's going to have to be part of that additional commitment. I can't necessarily show that on a development plan other than, hey, this is where we keep pallets. This is where we stack our cardboard that gets picked up certain times of the month. Those things we can identify, but there are some of those parameters that you can't really do in the development plan, but we can make the commitment to having that be part of the record for an improvement. And I get frustrated, and that's why he's with me. And
just bringing to light, because you are the new counsel. Yep. This is not, as you know, you do enough of these cases to know we don't get this many people here on every case. Okay, so we've been through this a while. Again, I'm not saying that significant progress has not occurred. Yeah. It's just we can never get it corralled into one place at one time. My example for tonight is everything looks great, but man, I wish the weeds could get cut down. There's always the weeds could get cut down at every meeting we come to. That's the frustration, as an example.
Further comments from the board or a motion?
So how long do you need? That was the question.
So I would suggest, and we'll do this sooner if we can to get on the agenda.
You can table it, and you can call me when you're ready, and I can put you on the agenda.
No, they want a deadline. So if you give us 12 weeks and we get it back sooner, then I will contact Christy and we get in here sooner. But 12 weeks is the most conservative worst case scenario time frame for what has to happen out here to take what was shown before that was kind of a plan but wasn't really to that point and get it there. Because none of the surveyors can take that and run with it and truncate the time frame. So.
Can you back? I didn't hear what you guys said about tabling. We should or should not?
No,
should.
You need a date. Like, you want to come back October meeting?
And then change it if you need to. Okay.
Sounds like November.
Yeah, I was going to say November. And if we can get something back sooner and beyond the October agenda, we'll do that.
Jim, do you have any questions or comments?
No.
You said the surveyor would require 12 weeks?
Yeah, so to get the information for development plan, they got to go out there and they got to verify locations. They got to spot locate.
I understand that.
Yeah.
But my question, if the surveyor takes 12 weeks, is there nothing else more? Is anybody else going to have to make recommendations before you come back to see us?
Well, we have that paragraph already of what is being required here. So we kind of have that framework already, and what your counsel.
I think what he's asking, Luther, tell me if I'm wrong, is that if it takes the surveyor 12 weeks and he's step 1, how long does step 2 take? So,
right. Well, okay.
So is it going to be surveyor to planner? Is it surveyor doing the plan?
Survey would be doing the plan.
The whole thing.
Correct.
Okay, not just
Yeah.
spot survey.
Yeah.
Okay.
Correct.
Clarification. Everybody refers to, and I saw it from 2022, got this list. Now, I think at the last meeting, not only that list, but it's the development plan that you made on the list.
Correct.
For the record.
Correct. To be clear, we have at least 2, if not 4 sets of conditions that are all overlap, but some, like tonight, if we would have added a right in, right out, that's an example of how things have gotten added or subtracted. So it's got to be a comprehensive.
Then what I would suggest is then in maybe 2 weeks, or maybe Christy, if you want to weigh in on this, if we kind of go through what I have from whether it's 3 sets, 4 sets, whatever. And I know some of those overlap. Get that list on one sheet, so then that way when we get survey information out there and they're doing the site plan, on them giving them that complete list. And to the extent that we get the development plan to where it needs to be to come in here to have the hearing and go through any of these other things, then we've got basically a base map, road map for everything else that we and getting it back on track.
I think one of the things that we need to add tonight, though, for sure, is the visibility leaving this property is terrible. And I think that it's a good idea, right turn only, but we need to add at least that one to the list, because that one is it's dangerous. And that's high-speed traffic on Indian boundary makes it really difficult.
Are you speaking of the trees?
You can't speak. You gotta
Yeah.
state your name and it's not a public hearing.
Oh,
Close.
I apologize.
No, I think right turn only is great, but still the weeds, you gotta get the weeds under control along that driveway because you can't see. I got a pickup truck and I can't see over the top. And so that needs to be done.
Well, there's a mound put there by the water department when they put the water line in. They never finished their work. They piled the dirt there, left it there. Never did anything. Never put the things in. It was all for the school. Supposed to pay us money to park it, and didn't do anything. Got their money and they shagged town. Cut trees down, left them to slay it.
I'm sorry to hear that, but nevertheless, that needs to be done.
Jim, any questions or comments? We have a motion?
Well, we need a motion to table, or we
No,
Continue.
continue till
November.
To the November meeting.
when I moved that we table case 2024-6 for 2 months. It'd be November.
3 months.
For the November meeting.
Your motion is to continue tonight's until the November regular scheduled meeting.
That's it.
Second.
do you agree that's enough time, or should that?
Yeah.
But the petitioner
November.
is
November.
he
I mean,
needs to have in that.
If we get in here sooner, we will. We need to get it done. So, okay.
We have a second.
Still on favor.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carry 5-1. We'll see you in November,
If not sooner.
if not sooner.
All right. Thank you.
No, but hold on. November's November's the next time we're having a public meeting.
Right.
Unless the citizens are told otherwise.
Do you want it to be a new public hearing?
Oh, we're continuing. What do we got?
Thank you.
Thank you.
And all the agenda, does anybody have any? Brian, you're not allowed to talk.
What?
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
What did I do?
Second.
You can run it. You sooner. I didn't mean that.
Yeah.
No.
I said
I don't want them thinking
there's nothing
we're
else on the
moving it
agenda.
around.
Somebody